Alright, I'm doing another video, which I just got done with the video about the guns. This is about a little bit another section that would be realistic. If you have played Unturned, and if you tried to fight another player, you'll see the more damage they take, their body doesn't change. For example, let's say I got shot in the chest by an assault rifle. I'm not gonna be standing straight up like I'm unharmed. I'm probably gonna be holding my chest. I'll probably be leaning over a bit. I'll have a different posture because I just got shot. Not only is the shot gonna do something, the pain and the damage I've received. So having different stances for where you've been shot and how much damage you have. Personally, I think there should be a state, quote unquote state, STATE, where you have healthy, minor injury, major injury, critical injury, and I guess fatal injury. Where fatal is actually on the borderline of death. Where it's healthy would be 100 to 90%. Minor would be 89 to 80 because it's not very bad. Major would be 79 to 50. Critical 49 to 11, I guess. And fatal would be like 10 to 0. And the more damage you take, the slower you get, the slower your animations are. Basically, you want to keep as healthy as possible. Your body will also be in a different state. Like, let's say you got shot in the torso and stomach area. The more you get wounded, the more your character model is going to be holding their side and leaning over. They're trying to limp away, essentially. If you get shot in the leg, you have a limp. Your leg moves in a different way because it's in pain, it hurts, and it's hard to walk on. I think, again, I talked about this, I think, way back before Steam release. I'm not sure. Yeah, it was before Steam release about body-specific damage. Where if you get shot in the arm, your arm shakes. If you get shot in the leg, you move slower, so on and so on. But different like giveaways of this guy is injured. This way you can think, is he gonna be hostile? Do I need to put him down? Like it gives you a lot more information. And I know this may sound like you've probably heard this a lot. Knowledge is power, and it truly is. The more you know, the better off you're gonna be. I know this guy is shot in the leg. He has a broken leg. He is in a very bad condition. I know he's probably not as much of a threat to me. I could probably approach him and feel relatively safe because I know if he tries to aggress me, I can kill him easily. And of course, this may, in terms of game, I mean, I hound a lot on realism, but also there's the aspect of this is too realistic. Of course, there has to be a balance between them, between the game world and the real world. Whenever I see realistic games, if they're way too realistic, it kind of ruins the game. But if they're fantasy, there's enough fantasy in it where it balances it out. It's good. I don't expect Unturned to be this really hardcore game, but I do want to see Unturned being a lot more difficult. Because honestly, I am one of those people that think games are too easy nowadays. I play Counter-Strike, which isn't easy, but that's one of the exceptions of it. But something like Unturned, it's pretty easy. I mean, you typically find weapons easily. I have no problem finding clothes. I had problem finding food and water on the old Canada map. But like it just doesn't feel difficult. It's just like with someone of my experience and skill, it's like I know how to do this and I know how to get away from it. It's not that much fun. It's where I have to constantly be aware, I have to constantly think. because that's what's going to actually happen in the end of the world if it so happens to end in a zombie apocalypse. The fact, like, broken legs heal in a minute. I've literally played and done something stupid, which it's only happened once. I broke my leg walking down the road towards a city. I think I literally walked about 300 feet, my leg's fixed. It's like, okay, well, that's ridiculous. But of course, I mean, if there's no way to fix a broken leg currently, like there's no splint, you can't make a splint at the start. Okay, I understand. Until you get a way to fix broken legs by like crafting or something, I can see that. That's fine. Bleeding, that's a big problem. Now, I do think bleeding should stop because it would make sense. I think there should be multiple levels of bleeding as well, where there's minor, standard, and major, maybe even critical. Like, minor bleeding will stop in a short period of time. Bleeding will stop in a period of time, but everything like major and critical or fatal or whatever does not stop. You have to stop it with bandages or something. But it's like it feels like bleeding is overpowered, honestly. And let's look at it from the point of view of a player that does not have gold, which I do. So if I start bleeding off a spawn, I have gold clothes. I can tear them up and make a bandage, so I'll be fine. But looking at it from the point of view from someone who hasn't paid for gold, they don't have that option. If they start bleeding right off a spawn, they're probably going to bleed to death. And at least from my experience, I haven't seen bleeding stop. It just keeps going till you're dead or until you fix it. So I could be wrong. I never have been bleeding for a long time. Usually I fix it or I'm at such a low amount of health, it kills me before it could either stop or I could fix it, either one. Gun damage. Either gun damage is unrealistic or we are too strong. Which would be another problem. Like, if we are basically like battle tanks, then what's the point? It's just going to feel like War Z all over again. Where you have to empty an entire magazine into someone to kill them, and even then, they probably aren't dead. Because they have, like, a medkit which will heal them back to full, and they can just spam it over and over. Which, yeah, that's a bad thing. I think the healing items are a bit overpowered. I like how Apocalypse Rising did. If you use a healing item, your health will regenerate. It doesn't just use the item immediate health. It will regenerate, and if you take damage, the regeneration stops. Which I think that's a good way. Like, have a slow regen. That way, if you're in combat, you can't just spam health items and be perfectly fine. That way, you have to think, well, I can't just heal in the middle of combat. I have to deal with the threat or get to cover before I can start using health items. And even then, it shouldn't be like this really quick regen. It should be this really slow, over time regeneration. There are other ideas I have, but I think I'll save those for later. These two videos will be plenty. Hopefully, this can improve the game. I really want to see Unturned get better and get more difficult. I don't want the skill level to just like skyrocket to where you have to really sit here and spend an hour just to get like a can of beans. But I do want to see it where you do have to think. You have to think what you're doing. You have to rationalize. Because that's going to be the fun of the game. I play Cataclysm BDA and I have to think ahead of time to the point of where is this going to be worth it? Am I going to survive? And I would like that here, where I have to think out my plan. I have to make a plan in the first place, try to execute my plan, and have an escape route where I don't know what could go wrong. That would be really good, but again, I'll let the owner or creator see if he can come up with ways to fix this. But either way, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.